This episode of London Real is sponsored by Aiplane. If you live in Europe or the UK, get all of your favorite On-It products like Alpha Brain, Shroom Tech Sport, even the bulletproof coffee from Aiplane. You get it in a matter of days, no foreign exchange, no customs, no problem. Go to xbrain.co.uk and check it out.
To the sun, it's hard to describe, but I think we're going in that direction.
Yeah, that's very exciting, and for the future technology, every time something new is announced, like I've seen you mention the plane as well.
Yeah,
that's exciting. But
it
moves forward.
The plane. What was?
We'll go into that in a minute.
Oh, okay.
We can talk about the Boeing.
787.
787.
I mean, I can briefly mention that. You know, most people. There's a great line, actually, I should probably read it to you. There's a philosopher, actually, he's here in London. His name is Alain de Botton. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Alain de Botton. So he's one of my favorite guys, and he is a pop philosopher. He wrote a book called Religion for Atheists, where he says that museums have a responsibility to create spaces for contemplation where people that are non-believers can still have religious experiences or encounters with the sacred or encounters with the epic, which is a thing I totally agree with. He also wrote an amazing book on love called On Love. That's spectacular. And he has a book called The Art of Travel. And in it, he meditates on, I guess he's really meditating on hedonic adaptation, which is our inability to sort of perceive or to become viscerally affected by those things that we become accustomed to. Yeah. When we habituate to something, we stop being awed by it. And it's really tragic. Because
it's the same way with people eating meat, killing animals.
Yeah,
it's reversed. It's habitually the other way. Whereas
we're completely insensitive to the fact that these animals are suffering. I couldn't agree more, and that's why I support in vitro meat. We can talk about that.
Yeah. But you can be that way about anything. I mean, they interviewed people that have won the lottery and guys that had their legs blown off in Afghanistan, and they found after a year
completely
they were back to kind of the same
normal
steady state. Yeah. Well, and that is a bit of hedonic adaptation.
Yeah. But so the thing about airplanes, I love to travel. Mostly because it radically deconditions my thinking. It thrusts me in a place that I've never been before, and I see a different cultural operating system, and I'm reminded of the consensus trance of the world that I normally live in. I'm excited that I'm reminded of the sort of frameworks of reality and the limitations and our sort of inability to see new possibilities for ourselves is in many ways the consequences of the spaces we find ourselves in. We change our space, you change the outerverse, you change the innerverse. Yeah. So he's talking about just airplanes. Airplanes have the capacity to help us transcend time, space, and distance. When you're on an airplane, you get to cross oceans of sky. And so one of his meditations is this wonderful thing that he says, he's talking about being in flight, right? He says, there is not much talk about the clouds visible up here. No one thinks it remarkable that somewhere above an ocean, we flew past a vast white candy floss island, which would have made a perfect seat for an angel or even God himself in a painting by Piero della Francesca. In the cabin, no one stands up to announce with requisite emphasis that out of the window, we are flying over a cloud, a matter that would have detained Leonardo.
Yeah.
So true.
I was just like, holy moly. So I when I go to airports, I try to listen to beautiful music and stare at those machines and marvel at them.
You're flying through the air at nearly Mach 1, right? And breathing. And travel is such an important part of expanding your mind. And when you travel, you learn about yourself. That's what I always tell people. When you go to other places, you think about yourself differently and question why you do things the way you do things.
Of course.